All right. It's setting up your meeting on Facebook Live.
Tells me it's now streaming.
All right. I think we're a go.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is good. Was that better than last time?
I think that's better than last time.
I think by the third time we'll actually like start it before we start talking to each other.
Yeah. Look, improvement, guys. That's all you can hope for. And so you're already on the
It's
path.
going to come slow. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
That's all I know is it's going to come slow.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Hi, everybody. I guess we are live officially. So
We hope. We think.
we're hoping. If not, just watch the recording. So yeah, we're here live. We got Jason and Steve with us, and we're here to talk about a couple of things today. Most of which is like how nutrition has really changed and fueled our training. The three of us train for different things and different reasons. A lot of what we're going to talk about is Juice Plus, but it's not just about that. You know, I've been taking Juice Plus now for 3 or 4 months, and so when I was training, gosh, 4 or 5 months ago, I just hit a wall and I was struggling with my energy and my sleep. And I had reached out to Brooklyn, who we've trained together before, and just asked what her opinion was. She's like, "Oh, take Juice Plus," and I was like, "Okay." You know, I didn't even ask any questions. I just did it, which is
No brainer.
No brainer. And so, I mean, really, it's been really impactful for me, and actually, it's caused me to really like dig into like my nutritional habits. And so I'm not here to like talk, but that's what this is about. So we're just going to kind of like talk through some of that and really just unpack each of us and how we, you know, what we use and how nutrition has changed our training and what it's done for us. So Steve, I'd be curious, like how you started and what changed and like where you're at now and what maybe even what your like routine is with nutrition, like before, during, after training and
Yeah. Yeah. So what changed for me was a lot of things. So I started actually reinvesting in my health probably 5-7 years ago. I was living
About the time you met Jesse.
Just about the time I met Jesse.
Reinvest in your health.
Oh, wait a minute. It's been actually way longer than that. So I met Jesse 5 years ago. So, okay, make it more like 10 years ago. Wow. All right. I'm getting older before your eyes.
Still got good hair though, man.
Thanks.
You do have great hair.
It's getting long. It's almost quarantine long again. So I got to go get a haircut.
I'm glad this isn't a hair competition.
Yeah. It's not a beard competition either, so I'm happy about that. I fell into a lifestyle when I was in Baltimore rather, that was more going out on a Friday, Saturday night, you know, partying, drinking too much, just wasn't really happy, wasn't really thrilled with what was going on. Decided that the best thing that I could do was I got involved in OCR racing and CrossFit. And like many CrossFitters, I started looking at macros and how much protein and how much carbs, and it was 3 ounces of chicken and 6 ounces of rice and 3 ounces of whatever. And I went from 150 to 175, and it was yoked. It was a picture.
Just yoked.
A picture.
Have you seen that picture
Absolutely.
on the flyer?
The bear fighting pictures. Chris said it last time.
God.
Dude, I know.
I didn't realize, man.
Yeah, I was about 175.
Leonardo DiCaprio's body double from what was the Remnant?
Revan, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Steve's emerging from the woods after just wrestling a bear. The only thing you're missing is the blood dripping from your mouth after you're eating. It's hard. Meanwhile, I'm like bench pressing. I'm like squatting 100 pounds.
That was actually my protein secret. Was I was drinking 4 ounces of bear blood, fresh from the tap, every month, just to make
That's
sure.
not a bad thing. I just.
But I was doing that, and kind of like what you guys talked about, I plateaued a little bit. I got tired of eating just chicken, decided to move more towards endurance sports, went on a really calorie restricted diet to get to a lighter weight so I could run faster, but my energy levels dropped. Then I met Jesse, and Jesse is plant-based, and slowly over time I got tired of making 2 meals, and I adapted the plant-based lifestyle, and
You did what you were told.
I did what I was told.
Yeah, for sure.
Like any
The
good
moral of my
plant,
story.
like any good partner, I got tired
Yes,
of the
dear.
"Are you going to eat that?" conversation. And it's really made a huge impact. I mean, since going plant-based, my energy levels went up. I now can eat whatever I want, basically, within reason, and still be healthy. And I have better performance levels. But
Bound chickie, wow, wow.
uh, exactly.
I got
Um,
better performance levels, boys.
performance levels. But like
We've all seen the Game Changer. We know what we're
exactly.
talking about.
I think more men have turned vegan because of Game Changers, because
Yeah,
of that 3 minute snippet than anything else.
be on the
Talking
lookout.
about
Steve and I
watching-
do have shirts that are being distribution for that.
So we had friends of ours in Florida that introduced us to Juice Plus. It filled in the gaps, even being plant-based. Being an endurance athlete, I was running crazy amounts of miles. I was biking crazy amounts of miles. I'm a triathlete now. I did my first triathlon, so I can say that. The last time I didn't do one yet. So I use Juice Plus to fuel my training. The gummies, they have capsules and gummies. The gummies I ate during my triathlon as my intercarbs. They're 25 grams, so 25 calories, 25 grams, Jesus. So 25 calories in each pack. So I was just eating packs of Juice Plus gummies while riding a stationary bike, basically. And so my fueling really in the morning, it's a complete shake. Best part about complete shakes is that before I had other proteins, they'd bother my stomach. I would be gassy. I'd be in meetings, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that definitely wasn't me." I had all those not fun protein symptoms. Complete shakes, it's one made super regular. Don't need to worry about like all that extra protein binding you up. And it's real food.
And dude, honestly, not to jump in on you, but like
Oh, go ahead, dude.
tried some of these other plant-based proteins before. And if you have or haven't, like they're super chalky.
Yeah,
like,
they are. The consistency sucks.
super chalky, man.
Yeah.
And so when the first time that Jesse had actually sent me some of the Juice Plus, you know, I was kind of the same way, thinking like I'm going to get it for the protein impact, but in terms of taste, I'm just going to prepare myself. This is going to be just disgusting.
Yeah, right.
And like, honestly, like I was like, oh, okay. You know, I mean, you know, it's not like going down to McDonald's and getting a milkshake or anything, but at the same end, it's like,
They do taste pretty good.
that's pretty good stuff right there. So
Yeah, for
It
sure.
really is. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, now it's more just about eating to fuel my training. So, I mean, it's a complete shake after I finish. Most of my cardio for short distances is fasted. I mean, I really, whether you think that's good or bad, it's not the best way to train necessarily, or on a banana. But on longer runs, longer rides, I'll use the gummies as an intercarb. I'll use complete shakes as a inter kind of dietary addition. And then it's plant-based eating the rest of the day. So I know, Jason, I know you and I were talking about your story as well, your kind of dietary journey for your training. So why don't you tell us kind of where you're coming from?
yeah, well, man, I'm one of these guys who I've just kind of been all over the map, honestly. You know, when I was young, I never had to think about diet. I never had to be,
Right.
you know, even halfway concerned with anything I'd eat. You know, I could eat ice cream day and night and
Yeah.
any kind of foods that I wanted. And then when I got into my late 20s, I became very sedentary and spent really the majority of my late 20s, early 30s, you know, just not caring about anything nutritionally. And then finally, a really good buddy of mine, Tony Lowe, and I, when I was in my mid 30s, we started getting focused on working out again and trying to, you know, physically get back to a level that we felt proud of ourselves. But nutrition just continued to be like a big guessing game for me. Like I will say, when I was really at my biggest, I went on a keto diet, and this isn't to get into the good and the bad of that, but you know, I had some success with it in terms of losing weight. And but what I never really got was the times when I was able to train hard and my body to be able to respond and really get back into a recovery mode. Now, some of that was just self-induced because I work with Matt Mullins, and this guy, I mean, like, he will make you sore, like in the best ways, but he will make you, hurt. But what I found was in that, I still wasn't very consistent. So I bounced around. I found OCR. I started really enjoying OCR. Well, that's when I got introduced to a lot of the benefits of having a plant-based lifestyle. And it was kind of a slow process for me. When I started drinking Juice Plus, I was still a guy eating, 2 to 3 meat-based meals per day. I did notice in the beginning some, gradual impact on like my inflammation. Again, some of that recovery started to feel better, but I never really kind of bought all the way into this plant-based lifestyle and the whole Juice Plus program in earnest until last year. Man, I had a wreck. I was riding a bike. And I guess I was trying to be like Steve, I mean, it sounds cool to be a triathlon or a triathlete, and, I'm nothing but just an OCR guy. But so I was out riding the bike, and it was the day before a Spartan race, and I'm coming off of a hill, and I'm doing 38 miles an hour on a bicycle, and I don't know what I hit, but I know that bike got out from underneath of me, and I tried to brace myself on the road, and long story kind of short, I ended up tearing both my rotator cuffs.
Oh, man.
So, at that point in time, really, I was just really feeling pretty down. But Jesse had sent me again that information to watch Game Changer. And hey, I'm not really somebody who's like into all that. Like, I'm not like, I'm going to offend somebody when I say this, but I'm not like the tree hugging guy and all this kind of stuff, So I really
careful. I'm from California, so you gotta,
yeah, exactly.
Gotta be careful out here making fun of those people.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Well, there are a lot of states between me and you right now. So.
You're safe.
But it was one of these things where when I watched it, and a lot of the concept of that was a gentleman who was an MMA fighter who had to have surgery, and his recovery was so aided by going plant-based. And so I really thought, hey, let me go ahead and try this. Well, long story, not shorter, but just kind of around, is that, really what I found is that when I'm able to have a plant-based lifestyle, which is aided by Juice Plus, because I still don't eat as much greens as I should. I still, I'm not great with that stuff. Like, I don't have like that type of self-discipline. I guess that's where the Juice Plus comes in for me. But what I have found is in terms of that recovery, in terms of that muscle endurance, in terms of that really just overall better feeling. I shaved last week, Steve, and if I hadn't had, it has showed.
I knew it. I knew as soon as I saw you that the Juice Plus is giving you that glorious beard.
Oh my gosh,
I've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 months, so there's no way I'd have a beard that girthy. Yeah,
well, I'm telling you, man, it's one of these things where, honestly, and again, like, I don't want this to appear like I'm sitting here, getting something to endorse Juice Plus, because I'm not. But the fact of the matter is, there were a lot of fringe benefits with that I didn't even consider.
Right.
We talked about one a moment ago from the scene in Game Changers. But then there is those things that, like, honestly, like, it hasn't done anything for this hair yet, but like, I do feel that I get better facial growth, better, yeah, absolutely. I've seen individuals who have that glow with them. Now I don't, because, dude, but anyway, so man, honestly, for me, as somebody who's tried everything, and I'm sure that there are people out there who've just like, they've tried everything and they're like, I don't think I could adjust to, just being a straight vegetarian, or I don't think I could adjust to have this plant-based lifestyle. And those are the individuals that I would say, look, before making that total commitment, do go ahead and try something like a Juice Plus product. See the difference that you get when you get these pill or these fruits and these vegetables in a concentrate form, and start to see how your body adapts, because over time, you may, like me, go from being somebody who has a craving for different forms of protein to now you transition and go, wow, even at 42 years old, there's something that allows me to perform as good as I did in my 20s.
Yeah.
It's something that's driven through that nutrition. So,
Well, I think like that's what I like after I was told to do it, I just started taking it. And that's when I started like trying to really, then I went plant-based as well. And, but like the way, when Brooklyn was telling me about it, the way she described it was very similar to what you're saying. It's like the oil to the engine, right? There's more components to it, right? I mean, you still got to have your diet and your supplements and whatever. But I mean, for me, it was just that oil to the machine, right? It's like, it just provided that extra, filling in the gaps that weren't there. And so, I mean, for me, I got kids and a job and I'm training 2-3 hours a day. So like, I'm not sleeping more, but I'm sleeping better than I was. Right. And the energy level, and these things are not like, they're not supplements where you're going to be like, you're not going to get all yoked and like have like big jolts of energy like caffeine does, but it's more of a sustained, right. For me, it's more sustained, and so that's like, that was the way it was described to me. It was like filling in the gaps or kind of the oil machine. So.
And man, that's a great point, because I think sometimes when you talk about the benefits of these, people expect to feel those benefits, first weekend, or, hey, I've just started taking Juice Plus. I went to the gym. I had a butt kicking workout, and I woke up the next day and I'm still sore. What's going on? Why is that? And like you say, it's a layering process. I mean, it's not like you can, it's just, you give good analogies there, but you can't just do one thing with your car and expect your car to run well, right? I mean, you can't put really crappy gas in it, but then you have, you're changing the oil, but you expect it to run perfectly. It's not that way. It all goes hand in hand. And so it's the same thing with our bodies. Like, I think that certainly for me and for a lot of us on this call, and honestly, Steve, and you know this very well, a lot of athletes in OCR, that are starting to get to that 40-year-old age or close to there and over, we're looking for what's that next piece, not what's the one piece, the end all be all, because this is not that. This is something that will help you to build onto your lifestyle. And if you are, pairing it with, sound nutrition outside of the Juice Plus products, if you are pairing it with a consistent workout routine, if you are pairing it with good rest and recovery, then it's something that you'll be able to experience all these great benefits. But if you're thinking that, hey, this is going to be I take 2 of these a day, and the next thing you know, I look like Steve.
5 years ago.
Flyer pitch.
That was 5 years ago?
No, that was yeah, probably.
Damn.
It was a little while ago.
I take a picture now and then take that picture and do a reverse before and after.
Well, it's called body recomposition. It goes from, I used to be able to, do Fran or some other CrossFit workout really quickly, to now I can run a really far distance very slowly. So it's just
that's
more
right.
about.
That's a great point, though, Steve. I heard this brought up one time. They said, who's a better athlete in the marathon? The guy who finishes it in, 2 hours and a half, or the guy who runs nonstop for 6 hours to finish? Who's the better athlete? I mean,
the guy who slows down the least.
Right. I mean, the guy who's consistently pushing for 6 hours, to me, that guy's probably as good or better of an athlete than the guy who just ran it in 2.5 hours. So,
and he's getting more for his money too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I say. If I'm out on a course for 4 hours, I'm like, I'm using every cent of this $100 buy-in fee.
Absolutely.
$100 for this race. I'm not going to stop running now.
Yeah, or I just want to spend more time sitting on this obstacle. Sure, it looks like I'm falling. I just want to get repeatedly into the water.
Well, see, dude, it's like last year at Bone Frog, I had signed up for a 3-mile sprint. Well, in full disclosure, all the really good racers ran in the 6-mile event that took place right before the 3-mile sprint. And so lo and behold, I was leading the sprint. Well, I got to a point, and the volunteer, I said, do I go left or right? And the volunteer said, go right. Well, I guess she thought I was the tail end of that 6 mile. And I was the lead of the 3. So thing, man. I paid for the sprint, and the next thing you know, I ran the 6 Mile Bone Frog.
And you went first to last.
I went first to last.
First to last.
84th is actually what my official placement was
That's
after
pretty funny.
6
That's
miles on a 3 mile course. Yep.
It's very
So
funny.
Jason, with your training, like so like Steve talked a little bit about like what he does like before, during, and after. I know you're plant-based and you do like the Juice Plus. So what's like do you have like a routine like that you?
Yeah, I do. What I try to do right now, because of the fact I'm really trying to get my cardio engine back ramped up, and so I'm trying to make sure that I have at least 2 types of workout per day. One that's pretty well cardio centric, and I try to do that first thing in the morning. I come off of, I do intermittent fast. I usually don't break my fast. I try to do a 16-8 at the least case scenario. So I'll get my cardio always in a fasted state. Lately, I've tried to make sure that I'm at least on feet for 45 minutes to an hour. I think it's really key, though, when you're talking about doing your cardio training, that it's not really worried about how far you're going, because that's not as important. Once the engine's running, that's the important thing. And so, don't burn your engine up. Go out there, be on foot, have about 2 good quality runs per week, but the rest of the time just kind of building up that mileage. Then after I've broken my fast, I usually try to about an hour after that, when I've got a pretty decent carb load, from fruits, vegetables, greens, whatever the case may be. That's when I'll try to get into the gym and focus on any type of a weight routine. And traditionally, I'm not killing myself there either. Lately I've been capping the anaerobic stuff at about 45 minutes. And so really not, just sitting in there taking a ton of time, trying to work on muscle endurance. And then usually I'll close out with a 15-minute cool down. That could be anything from, getting on the elliptical with a little bit of resistance just to stretch out, or just taking 15 minutes and rolling out and getting myself nice and fresh for going into the next day, making sure I'm keeping that time for recovery.
And so like nutritionally, like right after you're done, I mean, what I've always been taught and practice even is like that, like first hour after training. Cause like my trainings might look a little different. Like I do a lot of surfing and like a lot of CrossFit, and like I'm kind of the master of none approach at fitness, where I just kind of do everything and like enjoy it, where I run, I bike, I surf, I do all these things. But like, so I might surf in the morning and then do something similar where I'm like in the gym or something. But then immediately after, I just have to like, that's when I'll do like the protein. Now I'm doing the complete protein because it just makes me feel good. Like I've tried all the proteins, everything. Like I just wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling right. I would just feel like either bloated or off, or just like it just kind of messed with my stomach. And so that's where I'm just immediately, but I also have other supplements that I use too. I don't know what you guys use, but like I'll do like glutamine because I've trained for like 2 to 3 hours. Like I'll do like protein and glutamine and I do branch chains. And so I do the basics.
For sure.
But I'll always do Juice Plus in the morning. I don't know like when the best time
Me
is.
too.
That's when you do it.
Yeah, that's when I do it as well. And I'll tell you, if I've had something that I really feel is just a push training day, going to bed that night, I'll take another serving of the Juice Plus. Now, I don't know if scientifically that does a lot for me, but
you feel good mentally.
Logically, it makes me feel like, hey, I've doubled up. And, I really feel like I put a little bit more out there today. So let me try to load up the system a little more than I normally would. And whether it's psychosomatic or whether it's Juice Plus magic,
either way it helps.
It works for me.
Yeah.
I do that when I'm feeling sick.
I do too. I see my kids gummies all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes
If I'm feeling sick, Juice Plus becomes like Tic Tacs. It's like, oh, I feel like I have a sniffle. All right, 8 pounds of Juice Plus, and I feel better. I don't know whether it's psychosomatic or Juice Plus, but I think it's Juice Plus. But yeah.
It's true. Like I was doing that before I even did. For years, I'd given my kids Juice Plus, the gummies. And when I'd feel sick, I'd go and I'd just start pounding gummies. I'd like sneak their gummies, and they all get mad because they like to eat them. So, but like when they went to bed, I'd sneak their gummies, and I'd feel, that was like the only thing I would do.
So Jason, just so we offer some like educational value to these people too that are joining us tonight. While you're talking about intermittent fasting and weightlifting, intermittent fasting actually boosts your human growth hormone levels significantly. And so if you did your weightlifting in the midst of your fast, so early in the morning, you actually can boost your human growth hormone percentage significantly more than you would if you just had it normally. So you'd actually put on more mass potentially faster if you did it, if
Literally.
you worked out lifting instead of doing fasted cardio, doing fasted weightlifting.
Oh, okay.
So when do you do the intermittent fasting? At what point in your training regimen do you do? I mean, do you fast beforehand, or when does that take place? I don't do that.
I'm always
It
fasting
starts
for
all
my
the time.
cardio. And then I've usually had some type of, and I don't want to call it a carb load because it's certainly not, but some type of a protein intake, some type of a carb intake prior to the actual weightlifting component.
Okay.
That's my traditional setup. Now, and to be honest with you, most of that is based off of time, right? I mean, I have a job and I have 2 kids and everything else. And so in the morning I get to pick one of the two and I say, okay, let me go out and bust the pavement and run for a while. But that's very good information, Steve. I certainly, want to make sure to maximize my, training sessions and, anything that helps me get
and I think, I mean, it just sounds like if we're talking about Juice Plus, we know we're talking about more, but it's more like that, the micronutrients aspect of it, which I'm 43, I'm the eldest here, I think. Steve, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Oh, shit.
youngster.
I'm a baby.
Jason, you're 42?
I'm 42.
Yeah, I lose. Well, so anyway, it's like for me, like, and I think if I would have rewound 20 years when I was like on your, Jason, like where it just didn't matter what you ate, like it would be like all red meat all the time, desserts, ice cream, didn't matter. We were active or whatever. But I think even back then, like that would have, for me, like I don't crave that at all anymore. And it's just like that baseline for me that, is equally as important. It's just less talked about. You know what I mean? Like there's so much noise in the fitness space of like, supplementing and whatever that it's glossed over. And for me, it was like at 43, I've never felt better. I've never felt more energetic.
Absolutely,
and it's been a game changer.
And that's the thing, you see a lot of these programs, these, get fit in 90-day type of programs, and very little of it is focused on what that nutritional aspect is. And the reality is, for guys who are over 40, and I used to think that, man, I would be immune to it. But the fact is, guys who are over 40, man, we don't have that same opportunity to just eat crap and burn. Even going in the gym, if I've got terrible food habits and then I'm trying to go in the gym and offset that terrible food habit, I mean, you're going to be in there for more time than you really have.
Right.
And realistically, I used to always hear that statement of abs are made in the kitchen. And
I've never heard that statement before.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and not only abs, but everything, right? I mean, it's around that. And even for the people who aren't like heavy grinders, like you don't go to the gym, okay, 6 times a week, you may not go to the gym any in a week, but just being able to have that, getting up and not having the stiffness or that aching or, whatever, just because of the fact, you've put something that's clean energy in your body.
You can't outwork a crappy diet.
Oh, no.
That you can't. And, Halloween's coming and we're all worried about our assless chaps, and you can't outwork a heavy diet.
Oh, damn it. All right, you win. Congratulations.
And I even had it written down.
I know. Shoot, I forgot about it.
I was going to talk about how tight my hamstrings were in my assless chaps.
Nice work. Steve, you're 2 for 2, man.
I'm
nice
2
work.
for 2. Next time we got to come with something harder to slide in there. Harder than assless chaps. So, as we're wrapping up here in a little bit, why don't we all, Jason gave, get fitter in 90 days. What's kind of your 3 to 5, tips that if someone's to say, hey, Chris, or hey, Jason, give me some nutritional advice. You're looking great. You're surfing all the time. Jason, you're pulling your truck with your teeth. Like, you know, what are you guys doing? You know, like, what are kind of your
Growing a
tips?
glorious beard.
Yeah, your beard is just luscious. What are you doing?
Heavenly.
So,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
tell people.
so, and I do get asked that a lot just because I'm like, corporate knuckle dragger kind of guy. And, so you're around guys in the office a lot and you're talking about these things, and surfing's like my passion. And so that's, they ask when I have time and what I do and how I stay in good shape. But, I really do, like, I'm plant-based. I have a plant-based diet, and I think everybody's body's different. And so, I think a lot of it is going to be different. It's always going to be different for everybody to a degree, right? And so, like, for my training routine, that's when I like got in touch with Brooklyn years ago. And like, honestly, the best workouts I've had, they were like really tailored for me, right? And I think that's the key thing. So I think it's just tailoring how your body, knowing how your body reacts. And to this day, those are some of the best. I still do those workouts just because they're the best I've had. But like, I think it's good to I think discipline, right? I mean, a lot of it's just routine and discipline. I wake up at 4:30 or 5 every morning, and then I have 2 to 3 hours of training, and then it's, I got kids, so it's like, and I got work, and then I got kids at night, and so it's got to fit in somewhere. And so for me, it's the wee hours of the morning. And usually when I tell people that, it just turns them off. They're like, oh, there's no way in hell that's happening, but like, it can, right? And so like, it's discipline. It really is customizing how you're, and understanding your body and how it reacts. But then obviously, I mean, nutrition plays a huge role, and supplements, to be honest. I mean, your body breaks down so much when you're training for 2 or 3 hours, your body's breaking down so much. So like, once I started getting my diet dialed in with, plant-based, and then the supplements, and especially Juice Plus, I mean, that to me has been my advice to people, is just discipline, customizing routines. And
Yep. Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah. I heard this one thing, and we I'm sorry, I'll shut up, but
Oh, you're great.
There's this one concept I heard where we bring in, to our firm, people to, like, we train our sales team, right? So like, this guy comes in and he starts talking about the illusion of choice, which was always stuck with me all these years. Like, you don't have a choice. And he held up a bag of Doritos and an apple, and I was like, if you want to get in shape, do you really have a choice between these two things? And so it's always stuck with me, is when you talk about discipline and getting into that routine, you don't have a choice. I mean, you do it or you don't do it. I mean, it's just like, if you want to make that choice, do it. But there's this illusion of choice, but you really don't. You don't have one. Anyways.
Yep.
No, that's very good, man. And especially when you talk about kind of that discipline thing, that would be one of my tips also. And this kind of sounds a little bit corny because you hear it in so many different motivational kind of venues, but you really have to understand why this process is important to you. And don't even be singular in that. Sometimes we want to be very singular. Oh, I want to do this for my kids. I want to do this so I can have better health, or I want, be comprehensive, understand really what it is that you're trying to accomplish, because the fact of the matter is, you're going to have a lot of crappy days. You're going to have a lot of days where you get up in the morning and,
like, screw this is not happening today,
man.
Yeah.
And it feels like a better idea to get an extra hour's sleep that day. And it feels like a better idea to go eat like crap because that's what makes you comfortable. And
100%.
really, that's where you almost have to be able to categorize and say, well, this is why I'm not going to do it. And it may not be that one reason is enough all the time. Because, there might be some days where I'm like, look, I want to be healthy for my kids. And then there's other days where I'm like, you know what, screw those kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Another hour,
Exactly.
But it might be when I go to talking about other parts of my why, So that would be my first thing, is kind of knowing your why. The second thing I would say with this is, surround yourself with people who will support your dreams, support your goals.
Yep.
And you know what? That's not always the same people at all times in your life. When my goals have changed, a lot of times my support system has changed. And a lot of times if I've changed my goals and haven't changed my support system, I've fallen short of those goals. And so be strategic with it. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that because of the fact you lean on somebody more at one stage in your life than another, that they don't still mean as much to you and you don't love them or anything else. But listen, if I'm trying to get in shape and none of my friends are people who focus on fitness, And then I've got a new friend who's very focused on fitness. It makes sense to me. I need to rely on the people who are going to get me closer to my goal.
Yeah, that's good, man.
The thing I would say is just, be consistent. When I used to work out with Tony in Montgomery, and of course, Steve knows Tony, but man, we'd show up every time that gym was open. It could be a holiday, it could be whatever. And people would always, what are y'all guys doing here again? And I would tell them, and kind of messing around, but I'd say the two things that you ever need to be successful is to be persistent and to be consistent. And I said, we're going to show up every time and we're going to consistently get our work done. Well, here's the thing. We know that our output is not always going to be consistent. I mean, we're humans, we're not machines, but our showing up, our availability can be consistent. And so, that's like Jocko. I think you had shared something the other day, Steve, with talking about Jocko, and it's kind of the same thing. He's like, well, you don't want to work out, so what? Good. Yeah.
Good.
You're like crap. Good.
Good.
Yeah. Good. And so, I think that really when it comes down to, and it's even with our nutrition, and that's not to say you won't have bad days, because guys, you can listen to any pep talks and you can feel like, okay, I'm going to go and for the next 365 days straight, I'm in the gym and I'm going to eat good. And that crap's just not realistic. But what happens is when you get that mindset, though, that starts to understand your why, that starts to have that support group, that starts to say, I'm going to be consistent. When you do have those off days, it just chews at you. I mean, I know that like when I go and eat something that's really just reckless, like in that moment, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then before I'm going to bed, I'm like,
What's reckless for you though? Like if you eat something reckless, what is that? Is that like a chicken breast, or are you like pounding fries at McDonald's?
Oh, dude, I'm talking about like going to Marble Slab and getting some ice cream that's got a mix in. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Come on, brother. No, look, if we're going to do the thing, we're going to do the thing.
I know. I agree, man. Like just this morning, like, I was out with a friend last night. We were drinking beers, watching the Laker game. And when I woke up at 5 and I had a CrossFit class at 6, I was like, no, man, I can't. No, this is not happening today. But I did. And like, how much greater you feel than if I would have felt good in the morning and go and went, but just like being able to mentally turn that no off and go afterwards, I felt so better than I would have had I been just jumping out of bed with energy, just because you kind of like check that box, you got past it and it was,
Oh, absolutely. You got mental gains, man. No matter what happened in the gym, just that mental gain of being able to tell your body, like, I don't care what you feel like, we're doing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Cool.
Steve,
So,
you want to wrap this? I mean, we're kind of going over, right?
I hope there's still people with us. If not, we'll just sit here and keep talking.
We got one with us.
We got one
just turn
or
it
two
off.
there.
Turn it off. We'll still talk. It's all right.
Yeah. So, I guess if you guys have questions for us, you can find us, post them up in the chat under this video. We'll reply to them, or, like message us in the group, and we're more than happy to answer any questions. If you're interested in the Juice Plus, supplements, products that we talked about, get back with whoever invited you to this event. As you can see, it's 3 different stories that definitely changed 3 different lives in various ways. It's made all our lives better, and it's fruit and vegetables, and it's just simple. And I hope you guys will join us if we do Grow a Pear Part 3, and keep this going.
I didn't think there was going to be number 2, to be honest.
I didn't think there was going to be a part 2.
Number 2.
But I think this one's been better than the first. So by the time we get to the 3rd, Joe Rogan better watch out, because we'll have something cooking.
We'll be Joe Rogan again.
And I've written a little intro theme music for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Please.
We got a theme song. This is recording. This is recording, so I may clip this and put this as our intro.
Fruits and veggies, 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 fruits and veggies.
All right. I am clipping that.
Did you write that yourself?
I can't take full credit. My kids may have helped me with that.
Wow, that is outstanding.
That is
Yeah,
excellent.
it's actually as good a quality as you'll hear out there today. So.
That's about as good as this show's gonna get right there.
So I think we got to go now.
We're peaking.
I think that's it. We're leaving on a high
We are
note.
peaking. Goodbye.
So thank you guys, and have a good night.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right, guys.
Talk to y'all later.
See ya.
All right, and we are off Facebook, and I'm just.
We're still recording.
I know.
Oh, Jason's gone.